Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Renegade Immortal based on novel. So let's start. The three killing spells, the first two, Finger of Death and Demonic Finger, were often used by Wang Lin. Their power wasn't enough to threaten ascendant cultivators, and could only be used to suppress soul transformation cultivators. But when Sichu Nan used the Finger of Death and Demonic Finger, their power was shocking, even ascendant cultivators would be killed by them. Aside from the difference in cultivation levels between Wang Lin and Sichu Nan, there were also the essences of the Finger of Death and Demonic Finger. These three killing spells were created by Sichu Nan, so of course they were of demonic nature. Unless one had a demonic heart, it would be impossible to learn the essences. And Wang Lin's Dao was very different from Sichu Nan's Dao. Thus, when Wang Lin used these two spells, they lacked change and flexibility. In truth, there were follow-up spells to these two spells, but because Sichu Na noticed their differences, he didn't teach them to Wang Lin. It wasn't him being stingy, but with the passage of time, there would be a high chance of Wang Lin's Dao being changed. The final spell of the three killing spells, the Underworld Finger, was far more powerful than the other two, and its power was extremely close to a low-quality celestial spell. When Sichu Nan taught it to Wang Lin, he was very worried. The reason he was so worried was not only because the spell was powerful enough to threaten ascendant cultivators, but also because if Wang Lin used it too much, it would affect his Dao heart and slowly bring him down to the demonic path. The final spell was different from the other two spells. Without the follow-up spells, Wang Lin could use them as much as he wanted without affecting his Dao heart. But the third spell was different. There wasn't a follow-up spell, and all of the power was just in the spell itself. Sichu Nan told Wang Lin all of this before, and this is why in all these years, Wang Lin only used it once in the battle against the Purple Division's sixth brother, Chen Dao. Among the three killing spells, the last spell was the true killing spell. The 10 collapse battle intent was created in the void and was part of the heavens. It was incorporeal, and it was a punch that contained the demon general's full strength. His fist intent was so powerful that it could pierce through the void and kill someone. At the moment Wang Lin stuck out his index finger, the celestial spiritual energy in his body moved like crazy, then it turned into demonic spiritual energy, and gathered at the tip of his finger. In almost an instant, his finger was surrounded by a dense, black light that not even sunlight could pierce. This kind of black was pure demonic spiritual energy. At the moment Wang Lin's index finger pointed up, he felt the monstrous fist intent in the air, and at this moment, the first collapse arrived. It was as if the entire sky was collapsing and the center point was Wang Lin. A destructive aura quickly came from all directions and landed on Wang Lin's body. The black light shined brightly and the celestial spiritual energy in his body cycled like crazy. Suddenly, the black light on his index finger expanded to cover his entire body. A heaven-shaking sound echoed across the entire ancient demon city. Wang Lin's face turned pale, and he was knocked back several steps before he could stabilize his body. His right index finger trembled slightly and was completely numb. The destructive force that landed on his body quickly withdrew like the tides, but then it quickly charged back at him with force 10 times stronger than before. The second collapse arrived. The second collapse's speed was several times faster than the first one's, and it came from all directions almost an instant after it. Wang Lin's right index finger was still trembling. The power of the demonic finger could only help him withstand the first collapse. This is definitely not a spell a soul transformation cultivator can use. Even among ascendant cultivators, only 1 out of every 10 can use this kind of spell. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious light. The power of the second collapse was 10 times greater than the power of the first collapse. At this moment, the sky within 10,000 feet darkened as if there was a sandstorm going on. Even the never-ending swirl above the palace was affected. Wang Lin let out a low roar, then 2 strands of grey gas appeared on his hand and moved like 2 dragons. At this moment, he used the celestial slaughter art without any hesitation. The 2 strands of grey gas charged out and broke through the sonic barrier, but they immediately met the power of the second collapse. The power of the second collapse was very powerful. Following a series of rumbling sounds, the two strands of grey gas weren't destroyed. Instead, they collapsed to form a vortex with Wang Lin as the center. The power of the second collapse landed on the grey gas and quickly weakened. At the same time, killing intent quickly came out from the grey vortex. This killing intent was very shocking, and it gave people the feeling that it could kill celestials and rulers. The killing intent forcibly opened a bloody path through the power of the second collapse. It used its heaven-shaking killing intent to force the power of the second collapse back. At the same time, Wang Lin took a step and charged forward like a meteor. At the same time that his right hand reached out, the grey vortex suddenly dissipated, turning back into two strands of grey gas in Wang Lin's right hand. Condense. With a roar, the two strands of grey gas quickly condensed into a 7-inch-long sword in Wang Lin's hand. With the sword in hand, Wang Lin's body gave off a shocking killing intent. At this moment, Wang Lin seemed to have become a different person. There was no longer the air of a celestial around him, it was replaced by killing intent. At this moment, he was like a demon of slaughter. He held a slaughtering sword and stepped into the void toward the general of the left wing. The general of the left wing exclaimed, then his eyes lit up and he said, "Good. You are one of the few people that decided to attack during my 10 collapse battle intent. Let's see if you can break past the next 8 collapses and arrive before me." At this moment, the white-robed woman, the daughter of blood ancestor Yao Shishu, was still standing in the distance, slightly frowning. When she arrived at Ancient Demon City 3 years ago, she was defeated by this spell. This spell was extremely tyrannical, and with her cultivation, she almost failed on the 4th collapse. If it wasn't for the blood spell her father taught her, she wouldn't have been able to withstand the 5th collapse. Even so, she finally lost on the 8th collapse. However, the general of the left wing was hard to read, he gave her the title of commander. There weren't many commanders, a total of 16. Wang Lin revealed his path of slaughter, as he charged at the demon general with the sword. However, there were still 8 collapses between him and the demon general. The 3rd collapse had 10 times the power of the 2nd collapse. It silently pressed down on Wang Lin from all directions, as if countless mountains were crashing into him. Wang Lin's eyes became red and his killing intent thickened. In the face of this 3rd collapse, he had no urge to back down, and instead was filled with the urge to battle. With the slaughter sword in hand, he shouted, "Break for me, 3rd collapse." The slaughter sword gave off a never-before-seen grey light. This grey light extended for more than 10 feet, and surrounded Wang Lin, then he charged through like a meteor. The power of the single sword could shock the heavens and vanquish supernatural beings. The 3rd collapse that came from the void was forcibly cut open, allowing Wang Lin to pierce through and charge directly at the demon general. The general of the left wing's eyes lit up even more and he smiled. Good. Just as Wang Lin charged out, the 4th collapse arrived. The later the collapse, the faster the next one arrives, and their power was also much stronger. At this moment, the 4th collapse was 1,000 times stronger than the first one. This kind of power was not something normal soul transformation cultivators could resist. The appearance of the 4th collapse immediately caused the sky to change color. Even the swirl above the palace began to twist, as if it couldn't withstand the 4th collapse's power. The 4th collapse rushed at Wang Lin, and the killing force Wang Lin created with the sword immediately collapsed. This 4th collapse with power 1,000 times greater than the 1st collapse was impossible to resist unless one reached the late stage of soul transformation. Wang Lin's body split from the slaughter sword, and at the same time, the power of the 4th collapse came at him like an avalanche. If the 4th collapse was the raging waves, then Wang Lin would be the lone boat on the sea. Wang Lin's face was extremely pale, and he couldn't help but stop his charge. Right now his body was being squeezed by a very violent force. He could feel that he couldn't withstand this 4th collapse with his own power. If he had more of the grey gas, he might have been able to break through. However, in these 4 years, although he had killed many, the celestial slaughter art was very difficult to succeed with. Aside from the celestial slaughter art, he should be able to break through with the underworld finger. However, the underworld finger was his true ace, and in this dangerous demon spirit land, he wasn't willing to easily reveal his true strength. At this moment, Wang Lin revealed a determined look as he let go of the slaughter sword, which then broke down back into 2 strands of grey gas. Then it quickly entered his body through his arm, and 2 symbols quickly appeared on his forehead. The 2 symbols then spread across his body to form the defense of 2 life force seals. Just at this moment, the 4th collapse arrived. The power of a natural disaster, the power that was 1,000 times greater than the first arrived. At this moment, Wang Lin clearly felt the fist intent from the 4th collapse. Inside the fist intent lied a type of faith. Faith, Wang Lin's eyes suddenly lit up. This light had rarely appeared in Wang Lin's eyes in these past several hundred years. It was just like Ju Yi, who suddenly gained enlightenment when his soul was burning. At this moment, he felt the faith inside the 10 collapse battle intent. This faith came from the faith to always win on the blood-filled battlefield. It was formed from the will of everyone who died, or was defeated by this technique. The power of this faith was far more powerful than Wang Lin could imagine. While Wang Lin's body was withstanding the power of the 4th collapse, his soul was suffering the effect of the faith within the 4th collapse. 10 collapses is normally the limit, but this technique is actually evolving toward the 11th collapse. The reason the general of the left wing used this technique on me is to defeat me with it, to absorb my faith, and thus increase the power of this technique. The reason the 10 collapse battle intent is powerful, is because of the faith inside it. The more people he kills and defeats with it, the more powerful it becomes. A sense of frustration involuntarily appeared in his heart. However, just as this feeling began to bud, it was immediately crushed by Wang Lin. His body was thrown back by a large force, and directly landed on the ground 1,000 feet away. At the moment he landed, his body flipped around and his nails scraped against the ground, creating a sharp sound. Wang Lin moved back more than 100 feet, before he finally stabilized himself. At this moment, Wang Lin's entire body was covered by the symbol on his forehead. This symbol immediately collapsed and disappeared after withstanding the force of the 4th collapse. Right now there was only half a symbol left on his forehead, and it was only giving off a faint, grey light. Right now only half of a life seal formed from the celestial slaughter art remained, the rest had dissipated. The golden light in the general of the left wing's eyes disappeared, and he calmly said, "It is already very difficult to resist against the power of the 4th collapse with your mid-stage soul transformation cultivation. You can stand down. It is impossible for you to obtain the position of Chief Commander, you can't even obtain the position of Commander. The only position for you is Elder." Although his expression didn't show disdain, his words did. Wang Lin's eyes flashed brightly. The fist intent contained within the 10 collapses represented the peak of the general's spirit. For a cultivator, it was how refined a person's Tao heart was. The Tao heart fuses with the origin soul and thus causes the origin soul to evolve. Then there will be only one faith in one's body. This faith is very strong and can change even the heavens and earth. It was a faith spell. Faith spell. Wang Lin slowly raised his head and looked at the general of the left wing. His gaze was deep as if it contained wisdom and enlightenment. Wang Lin's gaze gradually became brighter and brighter. He raised his hand once more and used the demonic finger once more. It was the exact same movement, the exact same spell, but when Wang Lin used it this second time, it was completely different. In the eyes of the general of the left wing, his movements were very different from before. The light that disappeared from the general's eyes returned and was even brighter than before. The general of the left wing immediately noticed the difference and couldn't help but pay close attention. Yao Shishua, who was standing at a distance, stared straight at Wang Lin. There was a storm in her heart, and she remembered her father's words. Her father, the blood ancestor, paid a lot of attention to Wang Lin. A demonic aura came out from Wang Lin's body and formed a faint, black fog 3 feet around him. Inside the black fog, Wang Lin's eyes slowly became gloomy. This gloominess was filled with coldness, and was very demonic in nature. Faith spell. The spells I've used so far were only shells, because without faith, I can't use their true power, Wang Lin muttered to himself as he looked at his right index finger. He then suddenly pointed at the sky. One finger to question the heavens. At this moment, the swirl above the palace suddenly disappeared. The entire sky was then covered by a black cloud. The cloud quickly became even darker, and there even seemed to be ghosts howling within them. One demonic finger. Demonic spiritual energy filled the area. The celestial spiritual energy inside Wang Lin's body didn't move, but silently became demonic spiritual energy. This demonic spiritual energy was drastically different from the demonic spiritual energy formed when celestial spiritual energy was cycled. Wang Lin's hair mysteriously started growing and reached his knees in the blink of an eye. His whole person was no longer gentle, but was filled with a violent aura. On his forehead, 6 demonic marks appeared. The demonic spiritual energy around him quickly became very dense and spread from 3 feet to 100 feet. Everything within 100 feet of him was now filled with raging demonic spiritual energy. This demonic spiritual energy became dense to the point that it became specks of green flames and scattered in a circle on the ground. The inside and outside of his body were completely occupied by demonic spiritual energy. At this moment, Wang Lin suddenly raised his head and let out a laugh. This laughter was filled with a tyrannical aura and a crazy amount of killing intent. Just at this moment, the half of a life force seal behind the 6 demonic marks seemed to have fused with Wang Lin and quickly began to grow. In almost an instant, it turned from half of a life seal to a complete life seal. The moment the seal was complete, it quickly spread and surrounded Wang Lin's entire body. Wang Lin took a step forward. His movement wasn't fast, but he slowly walked step by step toward the general of the left wing in the sky. The golden light in the general's eyes intensified, and he shouted, "Interesting. You are the first person to have a breakthrough under my 10 collapse battle intent. Let me see if you can withstand this 5th collapse." The 5th collapse suddenly arrived from the void after the demon general finished speaking. This 5th collapse was 10 times the power of the 4th collapse. The moment it appeared, thunderous roars echoed as if divine retribution was occurring in the surrounding 10,000 feet. It was so loud that the entire ancient demon city could clearly hear the thunderous roars. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy as he faced the 5th collapse with the demonic finger. His right index finger suddenly pressed forward, then all of the demonic spiritual energy gathered at the tip of his finger and suddenly turned into a demonic flame. The true power of the demonic finger was used by Wang Lin for the first time. The demonic flame around his finger endlessly expanded, forming a sea of demonic flames around him. Wang Lin then took a step and flew into the air. His right index finger charged forward directly at the demon general. At almost the same moment the 5th collapse appeared, it was stopped by the demonic flame. While it was stopped, Wang Lin charged through with the demonic finger, and after a series of rumbling sounds, he broke through. Right now he was only 100 feet from the demon general. The 6th collapse appeared shortly after. Words were unable to describe the power of the 6th collapse. After it appeared, the 100-foot space between Wang Lin and the demon general began to collapse, and countless cracks in space opened up. The power of the 6th collapse suddenly descended. Wang Lin's expression was still gloomy, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. He didn't withdraw his finger and his body kept moving forward. The 6th collapse appeared from the void in the form of a ring of light, and closed in on Wang Lin. However, at the moment it touched Wang Lin's finger, he softly said, "Demonic transformation." After uttering those words, his index finger released a black light. The black light extended from his finger, and covered his entire right arm. The black light continued to spread and soon covered his whole body. At the moment the circle of light closed in, Wang Lin's entire body was covered in this black light. His body looked like a shadow, and with one step he pierced through the circle of light that was the 6th collapse. At the moment he charged through, the 6th collapse shattered. The golden light in the general of the left wing's eyes shined brightly and he shouted, "What a foreigner. This general really did underestimate you. I'll wait for you here, there are still 4 collapses. The faith in your spell is the belief that you will obtain victory. It is formed from the will and spirit of everyone who has lost to this technique of yours. I don't have the cultivation to break through your 10 collapses, but I know that the key to breaking your technique isn't cultivation, but faith. To break your faith, I turned into a demon with this finger, and fused this faith with my demonic finger. Thus, my demonic finger now seems to have a soul of its own. Now it is not a competition of our cultivation, but a fight of our faith. As Wang Lin calmly said this, he took another step forward. The seventh collapse arrived. At the moment the seventh collapse appeared, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he shouted, "Make way." With these two words, the seventh collapse that was about to appear seemed to become corporeal and suddenly broke down. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with determination, and there was a flame of faith burning within them. What kept his heart steadfast was the spirit of the demonic finger. Although he only said two words, they contained his unquestionable faith. It wasn't faith in slaughter or victory, it was the faith of a demonic mindset. A demonic mindset was to defy the heavens, to defy anything others wished for, to steal life, to destroy people's Tao, to do as you wish, and to walk the path of a demon. The general of the left wing's expression finally changed. When he first saw Wang Lin, he never considered him to be anything. It was only when Wang Lin broke through the first three collapses that he properly looked at him. However, the failure at the fourth collapse was within his expectations. This was where Wang Lin's path stopped, and he was not the person the demon emperor was looking for. But he never would have imagined that the person before him would gain enlightenment after the fourth collapse. This person's enlightenment turned him into a demon. Even so, he still only paid a little attention, and didn't think much of it. In his mind, although this kind of enlightenment was rare, it would be stopped at the seventh collapse. However, when Wang Lin shattered the seventh collapse with just two words, this caught his attention completely and made his expression change. He immediately understood that he had made a huge mistake right from the start, and that he had been underestimating this person. With his status, there hasn't been anything worthy of his full attention in several thousand years. This was the first time someone had grabbed his attention in thousands of years. As Wang Lin stepped through the air toward the general, his long hair flowed behind him. He was like a demon god, with a hint of ruthlessness in his cold expression. After breaking the seventh collapse, he was only 50 feet from the demon general. The general of the left wing's expression was very serious as he looked at Wang Lin. At this moment, the eighth collapse surged out from the void like a flood and entered the world. This eighth collapse displayed an unprecedented amount of power, as it turned from incorporeal to corporeal, and smashed into Wang Lin like a real flood. With his body surrounded by demonic spiritual energy, Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and he walked directly toward the eighth collapse. At the moment his body touched the eighth collapse, the demonic flame around him suddenly intensified. It turned into a demonic aura that pierced directly into the heavens. Right now it felt like the entire world was filled with a demonic aura. The eighth collapse hadn't been destroyed yet, but the ninth collapse silently appeared. Wang Lin slightly frowned. Although he had turned into a demon, and had the ideals of a demon, his Tao heart was still stable. However, if he continued to become even more demonic, it would be hard for his Tao heart to not be affected. Wang Lin was very familiar with the drawbacks of walking the demonic path. At this moment, the eighth and ninth collapses arrived. Wang Lin quickly weighed his choices and immediately made a decision. He looked at the demon general, who was now only 30 feet away. After letting out a sigh, rather than charging forward, he retreated. He retreated so quickly that his body completely disappeared, and when he reappeared he was more than 10,000 feet away. The general of the left wing was startled. His eyes faintly flashed and he laughed loudly. You know when to retreat, and you understand when to make the right decision. Good. With that, he reached out with his right hand, and with a series of rumblings, the 10 collapse fists disappeared. At this moment, the heavens and earth seemed to return to normal. Although you didn't break my 10 collapse fists, you are strong enough to be a commander. I, the general of the left wing Yun Lahai, grant you the position of commander of ancient demon city, and 10,000 demon soldiers. As the general spoke, his right hand reached out. A green token suddenly appeared and he threw it at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was neutral. After catching the token, he clasped his hands and said, "Thank you, General. You can rest in the city first." 7 days from now someone will bring you to your barracks. Yun Lihai looked at Wang Lin with a hint of admiration, before his body flickered and completely disappeared without a trace. After seeing all of this, Yao Shishue was about to speak, but Wang Lin didn't even look at her before turning around and leaving. Yao Shishue's beautiful brow furrowed as she let out a snort and left. Wang Lin casually walked into the distance, and as he walked away, the demonic aura around him slowly dissipated. This was already the center of ancient demon city, so after half an hour, large streets and tall buildings appeared before Wang Lin. Wang Lin sat silently while cultivating inside an inn. He sat there for a total of 4 days and 4 nights. His hair gradually shrank back to what it originally was. Although walking down the demonic path allowed his spells to reach unprecedented power levels, the drawbacks were also huge. Wang Lin's Tao wasn't the demonic Tao, so when his body was filled with demonic ideals, it didn't match his Tao heart. If this lasted for too long, his Tao heart would be affected, and Wang Lin knew that he would completely become a demonic cultivator. Also, due to the incompatibility with his Tao heart, his mind would be overtaken by the demonic ideals. Then he would become just a monster without any trace of sanity. He would only be able to keep his sanity if he devoted his heart to the demonic path like Sichunan. With Wang Lin's mental strength, he would not make this kind of mistake. When he entered the demonic path, he was calculating in his heart how long he had been in it. He was constantly pondering about how to enter the demonic state without allowing it to affect his Tao heart. This was why he decided to retreat when the 8th and 9th collapses arrived. It was not that he couldn't fight, but if he continued, his Tao heart would be affected. Also, the reason why Wang Lin decided to enter the demonic state aside from learning about the power of faith was to get an outer position. After showing his strength, even though he didn't pass the 8th collapse, he knew that the general wouldn't just give him an elder position. If this Yun Lihai really was that blind, Wang Lin would have immediately left ancient demon city and returned to the tribe. At most he would just come back later and conquer this city. After spending 4 days and nights in the inn, Wang Lin finally compressed the demonic ideals in his body to a single point and sealed it inside him. This demonic ideal was impossible to remove, and Wang Lin didn't want to remove it because when properly used, it could increase his strength by a lot. 13 and Hu Pao had arrived at the inn 1 day ago, and had settled down in the 2 rooms next to Wang Lin's. The reason the 2 of them were able to find him was because Wang Lin called out to them with his divine sense. After several days of cultivation, Wang Lin walked out of the inn on the 5th day, with 13 and Hu Pao following closely after. While walking on the road of ancient demon city, Wang Lin felt like he was in another world. There were many differences between here and the cultivation world, from the buildings to the environment, everything was different. This East Demon Spirit Sea is a world of its own, making it very mysterious. I just don't know how this place formed. Could the rumor that this was the cultivation cave of a powerful celestial emperor, before the celestial realm collapsed really be true? Wang Lin couldn't believe it. If the rumor was really true, then this celestial emperor's cultivation was beyond belief. To be able to make his own cultivation cave the size of an entire world was too terrifying to imagine. Although it is a rumor, rumors don't appear without a reason. If this is really the cultivation cave of a celestial emperor, then this is a realm he that himself created. So where did all these natives come from? As Wang Lin walked through the city, he began to ponder. Could it be? Wang Lin's heart trembled, and he had a really crazy idea. Back in his village, some of the villagers would create an area with mud and use it to raise livestock. Wang Lin looked at the world before him and then raised his head to look at the sky. He suddenly had the illusion that he was inside one of those mud pens and these citizens around him were livestock. Wang Lin shook his head and bitterly smiled. He told himself that he was overthinking it, but the idea remained in his head and didn't disappear. 13 and Hu Pao followed behind Wang Lin. 13's expression was always cold, and his gaze was always on Wang Lin's surroundings. If there were any suspicious individuals, he would immediately act. As for Hu Pao, he didn't think too much. His gaze always fell on the various buildings and stalls. His eyes would occasionally light up, meaning he had just spotted something that interested him. Wang Lin had no interest in ancient demon city at all. After walking for 2 hours, he arrived at a restaurant that was bursting with people. After becoming a cultivator, Wang Lin gradually lost interest in mortal food. Right now he only needed to cultivate to satisfy his body's needs. Just food wasn't enough to capture Wang Lin's attention, but there were giant wine jars outside the restaurant. These wine jars were 30 feet wide and 20 feet tall. There were ladders around the jars where the staff would climb to get wine. Seeing the wine jars, Wang Lin stopped and looked at the name of this restaurant. Green Bamboo Restaurant. There was also a pair of couplets on the side of the restaurant's door. The bamboo and orchid fragrance welcomes the guest. The aroma of the plum and chrysanthemum will send off the lords. Wang Lin looked at the door with interest. At this moment, one of the staff members at the door quickly walked up and smiled. "Sir, my little store's green bamboo wine is a famous wine in the 9 countries, so why not come in for a drink or two? Today we just opened a new jar, and the owner said that anyone who can drink 10 small jars without getting drunk will not have to pay for the wine. This kind of opportunity is rare, so why not come in and have a taste?" This staff member's eyes were very good. Although he couldn't see anything abnormal about Wang Lin, he could tell that 13 and Hu Pao were not simple. These 2 people were clearly guards, so that meant that Wang Lin had to have high status. Wang Lin was interested in what this person said, so he smiled. "Then let me taste just what is so special about this green bamboo wine." With that, he walked into the restaurant. 13 and Hu Pao quickly followed. The inside of the restaurant was very elegant, and it was moderate in size. Right now there were many guests talking and laughing with each other inside. When Wang Lin's group entered, the staff member quickly walked in and shouted, "3 honored guests." Just as he finished shouting, a waiter quickly walked out and said, "Sirs, please follow me. There is a top-quality window seat available, so please follow me to it." With that, he led the way. When he got to the seat next to the window, he used the towel on his elbow to wipe it clean. Wang Lin sat down. 13 and Hu Pao hesitated, but after seeing Wang Lin nod, they sat down across from him. The waiter had good eyes and immediately asked Wang Lin, "Does sir want to eat anything?" Wang Lin softly said, "Bring 3 small jars of your green bamboo wine." "Okay." The waiter placed the towel on his elbow and left. Soon, he returned with 3 jars of wine and placed down some wine cups. 13 quickly picked up the wine jar and knocked off the mud that was sealing it. He poured a full cup for Wang Lin, but didn't drink any himself. Hu Pao swallowed hard. Seeing as how 13 was not drinking, it would be inconvenient for him to drink. He silently muttered complaints in his heart, but none of it showed on his face. Wang Lin picked up the wine up and took 1 sip. A flavor of wine involuntarily entered his heart. Wang Lin had only drank 1 kind of wine before, and that was when he was turning into a mortal on planet Suzaku. The wine Da Nyo's ancestor left behind. In those several dozens of years, Da Nyo would often bring him wine. Gradually, Wang Lin was filled with nostalgia about that wine. Time causes everything to change. I wonder if planet Suzaku is still peaceful. Time is ruthless, and Da Nyo's generation of mortals has died long ago. His descendants should still be alive. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with nostalgia. Those decades of living as a mortal were the most peaceful years he had, and also a period where his cultivation increased greatly. Although it has been many years, he couldn't forget the things he experienced back then. Thinking about Da Nyo made him sigh as he drank all of the wine in his cup in 1 gulp. The way this wine was brewed made it very strong when you drank it, but then it gave a really memorable aftertaste. It was very similar to the wine Da Nyo used to bring him. 13 was still silent. He seemed to see that Wang Lin had something on this mind. The only thing he could do was pour wine for Wang Lin when the cup was empty. Hu Pao had resisted for a long time, and after swallowing a large amount of saliva, he finally wasn't able to hold out any longer. He looked at Wang Lin, then he quietly picked up a jar, broke the seal, and poured himself a cup. He picked up the cup, drank it in 1 gulp, and was immediately startled. Just as he was about to pour another cup, he saw 13 looking at him coldly. He felt wronged, thinking, I just want to drink some wine. The ancestor isn't even saying anything, why are you so noisy? Although he was thinking about this in his heart, he didn't show it on his face. Wang Lin drank one cup after another, and the nostalgic expression on his face deepened as he thought about everything that happened on planet Suzaku. He suddenly had a powerful urge to leave this demon spirit land, leave planet Qianyun, and go back to the place that gave birth to him and raised him. This urge became stronger and stronger until it occupied his entire mind. The cup shattered from his grip and the pieces pierced into his hand. However, Wang Lin didn't even pay any attention to that because he was submerged in his nostalgia. At this moment, if a cultivator saw Wang Lin, they would be shocked. After all, cultivators strived for strong Dao hearts, so how could they allow themselves to be taken over by these urges and be submerged in such nostalgia? 13 immediately noticed that something was wrong. He suddenly turned toward Wang Lin, showing a face filled with worry. Hu Pao also noticed that something was wrong. The worry on his face wasn't any weaker than 13's. Just at this moment, the sound of armor clattering came from outside the restaurant, followed by some loud bustling noise. Soon after, 7 or 8 demon soldiers wearing black armor entered the restaurant. Their expressions were extremely arrogant. As soon as one of the waiters walked up, they pushed the waiter aside and said, "Bring your best wine and dishes, now." The waiter was pushed to the ground. After he got up, he smiled and nodded before quickly leaving. Many of the customers inside the restaurant quickly paid and left, not daring to stay. Those 7 or 8 people in armor pulled some tables together, sat down, and began to talk loudly. Among those people, one person was sitting in the leader's position. He was about 30 years old, his face was gloomy, and he gave off an oppressive aura. After the wine and dishes arrived, he picked up the jar, broke the mud seal, and drank the entire jar in one go. Then he threw the jar aside and, intentionally or unintentionally, the jar shattered next to Wang Lin's table. 13's eyes became serious as he turned around to look at them. Then he took a deep breath and slowly turned his head back. He remained silent. Hu Pao also frowned, but he knew that there was something wrong with the ancestor. It was not a good idea to cause trouble right now, so he suppressed his anger. One of black-armored burly men loudly said, "Lord Commander, don't you worry. When that person arrives the day after tomorrow, we'll get all the units together and show that person who the real commander is." The gloomy-faced man wiped the wine off his mouth and said, in a serious voice, "Did you find out that person's background?" Another black-armored soldier softly said, "It is a foreigner. I heard that he was tested by the general, but didn't meet the requirements, and was granted a commander position as an exception." HMPH. The person with the gloomy expression picked up another jar of wine and took another big gulp. "Lord Commander, first thing when he arrives I'll challenge him and see what kind of strength he has. According to the rules of the army, if his strength isn't enough, even if it was the Lord General that appointed him, he won't be able to gain command of soldiers." That's right. Why did the Lord General make this new person the commander while demoting the commander to vice commander? There is no reason for this, and no one can sit around and allow something like this to happen. Enough. The gloomy-faced person took another big gulp and said, "I want to see what kind of skill this person has. Foreigners, there are strong and weak foreigners. It's not like I haven't killed a few foreigners myself. If this person is strong, we will use the immortal slaying formation." After he said that, the surrounding black-armored soldiers all shut their mouths. Eh? The gloomy-faced person frowned and said, "You guys scared?" People were still paying their bills and leaving. Soon, there were only 2 occupied tables left. Aside from the table of the demon soldiers, there was Wang Lin's table of 3. The cup in Wang Lin's hand had already been crushed, but the look of nostalgia on his face became even stronger. Celestial spiritual energy began to slowly spread out from his body, and the demonic ideals suppressed inside him slowly became stronger and spread out. 13 softly called out, "Ancestor." Back at the demon soldier's table, the gloomy-faced man said, "If you're scared, then scram now." One of the demon soldiers beside him quickly said, "Lord Commander, if we use the immortal slaying formation on someone on our side, the Lord General might punish. That person will be dead by then, and I'll have my position back. Even if there is punishment, I'll be there to accept it, so you guys won't be affected." The gloomy-faced person finished drinking that jar of wine and threw it again. This wine jar flew directly at Wang Lin's table at an extremely fast speed. 13's eyes became cold and he grabbed the jar. At the same time, his expression suddenly changed, and he was pushed to the side and the chair under him collapsed immediately after. 13's body was forced back several steps. He forced himself to swallow the blood in his mouth and stabilize his body. The gloomy-faced person immediately shouted, "Scram! I'm in a bad mood today. Only the three of you have no eyes." Hu Pao's eyes became cold as he stared at the table of demon soldiers. He could feel powerful demonic spiritual energy coming from each of them. He knew that he could win against just one of them, but against two, he would be in for a hard fight. Especially that person who threw the wine jar, whose demonic spiritual energy no longer leaked out. When Hu Pao's eyes met this man's eyes, he immediately felt pain in his heart and quickly withdrew his gaze. 13 took a deep breath, then he placed down the wine jar, walked up to Wang Lin, and softly said, "Ancestor." Wang Lin seemed to not notice anything as he sat there motionlessly. When the gloomy-faced person first entered the restaurant, he noticed Wang Lin and found Wang Lin very strange. It was as if there were two types of forces fighting to the death inside this person's body. The purpose of the first wine jar was to scout Wang Ling. The meaning of these two wine jars was obvious. When the demon soldiers saw that Wang Lin's group of three still hadn't left, they felt very unhappy. One of the soldiers shouted, "You're courting death." With that, he walked toward Wang Lin. On the side, 13's eyes became extremely cold, and he directly threw out a punch. The demon soldier's reaction wasn't slow, but he was a bit shocked. In response, his hand turned into a fist, and he cycled the demonic spiritual energy in his body. A demonic light suddenly appeared around his fist, then it turned into a fierce tiger that entered his fist and collided with 13's punch. There was a muffled sound as the demon soldier coughed out blood and flew back like he was hit by a powerful force. He landed on a table and completely smashed it as blood gushed out of his mouth. 13 was forced back several steps and blood came out from the corner of his mouth. He was already injured from when he caught the wine jar, and now he was forcibly using his power, causing his injuries to become even worse. Also, his right hand was completely numb now. His body refining method was originally not complete, so when cultivating it, his strength was naturally lacking. When Hu Pao saw 13 act, he reached into his robe and took out more than a dozen small flags. As he waved them, a cold, howling wind immediately appeared. After the demon soldiers saw that one of their own was injured, they all stood up, filled with killing intent. These people had been on the battlefield for a long time, and once they released their killing intent, their power would increase several-fold. Only the gloomy person still sat there without moving. His gaze was still on Wang Lin. "You savages dare to stir up trouble in ancient demon city." The demon soldiers sneered and then charged like fierce tigers. The 6 demon soldiers all attacked at once, causing Hu Pao to curse. He immediately released the soul fragments inside the soul flags and they filled the restaurant. 13's body mixed into the soul fragments and began the battle. One of the demon soldiers quickly shouted, "Demonic spells. Brother, quickly, use demonic spiritual energy to break through." The 6 demon soldiers were extremely skilled, so they each spread out their demonic spiritual energy. In an instant, 6 strands of very powerful demonic spiritual energy charged out like raging dragons. These 6 strands each had at least 30 ranks of demonic spiritual energy. Moving through the restaurant, the 6 strands forced the soul fragments back. 13's face was extremely pale, and Hu Pao secretly cursed. They looked at each other and both saw the determination in the other's eyes. Even if they died, they must ensure the ancestors' safety. At this moment, Hu Pao suddenly felt like 13 wasn't that annoying. The gloomy-faced person's expression suddenly changed as he shouted, "Withdraw your demonic spiritual energy. Quick!" At the moment he shouted that, the 6 strands of demonic spiritual energy went out of control. Under the 6 demon soldiers' confused gazes, the 6 strands of demonic spiritual energy charged toward Wang Lin and entered his brow. At this moment, the look of nostalgia in Wang Lin's eyes dissipated, then he let out a long breath and his eyes regained clarity. What a powerful demonic ideal! Wang Lin's eyes showed a hint of surprise. Part 1 end here.